Hello guys and welcome to Tyranny. It's one of these games that I really wanted to play when I saw it many years ago. This was like after Pillars of Eternity 1 was released, which was, you know, the big breakthrough game of top-down 2D isometric RPGs, which was so much fun to play through. I never personally played many of the old games like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I've tried to play them a couple of times, but I never really got through them. Like, I spent quite some hours on them over the years, but I somehow couldn't get myself to completely go through them. But Pillars of Eternity, fantastic. Amazing game. Absolutely fantastic. And just a bit after that, they released Tyranny, which is, you know, the same type of game, but a little different. Because, you know, you're not just picking good or bad, everybody's bad, but different levels of bad. That's kind of the plot twist as far as I know of it. And that's also pretty much all I do actually know about it. It's not too much. I try to never read into these things too much. I've heard that it's a lot of fun. The combat can be a lot of fun, though there can be a lot of it, which honestly that sounds like any of those games to me, but what do I know? I guess we'll see. But the story is supposed to be pretty interesting, and I think I remember reading or hearing that there are a lot of different kinds of endings. But yeah. It's one of these deep RPGs, and I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, or choices, let's say, which might not be the best, or, you know, might not be optimal. Well, that's just the way it's going to go, because I've never played this, and I'm just looking to have a good time with it. So, let's do the usual thing of creating a character for about 3 hours. So, let's see, shall we? Okay, so let's go for the normal difficulty. I think that should be okay.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kairos' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, spy master and archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tyranny, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tyranny brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
I think that's a very cool intro, and oh my god, it's quiet now. Okay, so there's some music again, that's good. Okay, so character creation. First of all, very distinct art style, right? Very distinct. So let's see, this is definitely more me. less muscly, more belly. So in the Northern Empire where you were born, men enjoy equal protections under the law of the overlord Kairos. In the southern lands of the tiers, only men may own or captain ships, but real estate is restricted to women. Men may lease, but durable ownership of the land in the tiers always passes to the eldest daughters or sister. Most sons enter their father's profession by their mid-teens. Those without a profession or family lands to work can find purpose by pledging service to one of the Overlord's mighty archons. Criminals, derelicts, and others are often conscripted into the armies of the archons. If a child cannot forge his own skein, he will certainly find one in battle. So there's going to be a lot of different text and flavor text, and what I like, at least at first impression, is that some of the terms are highlighted, and you can then right click to get more information about Kairos in this case. And I think that's a really cool system. Yeah, I just think that's really cool. So if you are one of those people that play the game at some point and then you take a break for several days or a week or 2 weeks because, real life has you busy, then this really helps. And I think that's really good. So I'm gonna try and do something which maybe makes it more like me. I don't know. Like, it has to be a guy with long hair. That's me. Much longer than this, but I guess this will do. Let's use male noble.
Moving cautiously. We must rest soon.
Also, this music is real loud, actually. Jesus. Okay.
Curious. Heads up, we have company. Good work. We learn something every day. This'll be fun. That wasn't so hard.
The sneaky voice is also pretty good.
On it. Found something. Heads up, we have company. Good work. You learn something every day.
I guess noble it is. So what I have heard about this game is that the magic system is a lot of fun. It's very different. So I think I want to go for some sort of, like magic kind of character. Because I usually play like either like a bow guy or like just, a tank or two-handed, knight, barbarian, something like that. So I think instead, how about I try and play... Well, I guess this is as good as it gets. Unless it's this guy. I don't like this. I think this is better. So, how did you join Kairos' army? So, I think this will have an effect on your stats. So, a war mage might be a good option. I'm just thinking of what will give different stats. That's one of these things I read. Because if you pick like Pit Fighter, I think you just probably get a bonus to... Well, maybe it'll show. Not immediately. So let's not do that, because Hunter, I think, gives like some sort of bonus to like bows, probably, or agility, or whatever these stats are called here. So we might... What's a lawbreaker? Accused of a crime you most certainly did commit, you stood before Tunon the Abjugator, Archon of Justice, and argued your case with eloquence and conviction. Impressed by your logic, reason, and confidence, he found you guilty anyway. It is rumored that Tunon selects many of his agents from his prisoners. Who better to catch the wicked than those versed in such ways? Interesting. In his mercy, Tunon offered you the choice of 2 sentences: decades languishing in prison, or a lifetime serving him in the court of fate binders. The choice was an easy one. And instead of seeing the inside of a cell, you were trained in letters and numbers, magic and war. The laws you once broke are now yours to interpret and enforce. That might be like an interesting way of going about it, I guess. So what's a skilled apprentice. Deeply proud of your intelligence, your parents always knew you were too smart for a life spent with your hands in the soil. Looking to secure a better future, your parents struck a bargain with the Seven Tree Guild, a small magical order willing to teach you letters, numbers, and magic. I guess that's probably me then, considering I want to go for a magic character. Okay, so let's go for not dual wielding. So vigor spells, I assume, is some sort of healing? Yeah, granting bonuses to yourself and your allies. That's not as fun, I think. Atrophy drains the skills and attributes of your enemies, weakening their attacks and making them easier to kill. Maybe? And then it shows you like this. We're a big guy. So control, atrophy, magic staff, dodge, and lore. Okay. What about frost? Yeah, so the only thing that changes is control lightning. So what's lightning? Shocks can frequently interrupt their enemies, preventing them from executing their attacks. Well, lightning seems cool. I'm thinking just shock and frost. But maybe we need to go for some sort of healing as well. To give an example, bonus to might and vitality. But what about healing? Is there just a straight up healing school? Oh, I'm just seeing down here we could get to pick 2 seemingly. So what about frost as well? Frozen grasp. So if we go double down, we get 2 abilities? Is that what that's indicating? Arch strike. What about frost? Frozen grasp. Envelop targets in harsh cold winter, leaving them frozen. Well, that sounds useful. So let's just go for a mix of both electricity and frost. Let's go for that. Banner customization. Okay. Well, what's us? Crazy wild spiral? Let's go for that. And what if I want to just have blue and yellow? I'm not sure which looks better. No, I think blue and this yellow looks better. Blue and yellow? Or yellow and blue? I think primarily blue seems better, right? Let's go with that. Enter name. Well, I wonder what that'll be. Okay, attributes. Okay, there's a lot of steps in this. Okay, so finesse. So might determines the physical strength of a character. Leads to more powerful attacks and stronger abilities, as well as increasing the endurance defense. Okay. Finesse describes a character's physical and mental precision. Finesse is used to determine accuracy of attacks and spells, as well as increasing worn armor's chances to reduce a hit type. Critical hit to hit, hit to a graze. Okay, that actually seems like a cool system. Quickness determines how often a character can use their own abilities and spells in combat. So it's recommended, as well as wits, looking at the symbols here. Okay, so vitality, I assume just straight up health, determines a character's physical health and their strength of personality. Now that's a good description right there. And increases the will defense. Okay. Then wits. The wits attribute describes a character's mental acuity, their ability to observe their environment and pick up on clues. Wits is used to increase spell strength as well as increase the magic defense. Well, spell strength, clearly we're going to need some of that. And then resolve. Resolve determines a character's ability to endure physical and mental challenges. It's the primary attribute used to derive endurance, will, and magic defenses. It also increases the durations of afflictions applied by the character. Well, that seems fair to kind of go like, okay, wits is clearly the most prominent one, and then resolve and quickness. That seems okay. Oh boy. Diving into new RPGs sometimes is just terrifying to me because there's so many different options which you don't necessarily know, or even if you read, you won't know all of the implications behind it. So magic staves determine effectiveness of attacks using a magical staff. Higher skill values lead to more accurate attacks, increasing the chance of critical strikes. The accuracy of magical attacks is determined both by the magic staff skill, okay, that's good to know, and the magic skill used by the equipped staff. Well, I guess we already start with 31, which seems to be pretty high. Then the other main thing, because these are all shared, we have 20 points which we can allocate. So the other gold skill is lore. Lore skill determines a character's ability to decipher information and put together clues from fragments of information. This skill is critical for magic users who wish to learn new runes to power their spells. Lore is also used in dialogue to determine what you know about the history of the world, or to impress others with your intelligence. So base 21, then because of wits we get some more, then resolve and shock spell and frost spell expertise, as well as having the guild apprentice, whatever history that was called. Okay, so we have 20 points. So I assume that magic skills control frost and lightning will become important. Determines a character's ability to evoke and control spells that use the signal of frost, or sigil of frost. Higher skill values increase the chance of hits and crits. Okay, well that seems important, right? So, but I don't know, like what's high? Like what's a high amount? Okay, so also dodge. Defense against ranged attacks from bows, javelins or magic spells. High skill ranks will reduce damage taken or even cause enemies to miss their attacks. Okay, that seems important. What about athletics? To traverse difficult terrain, as well as their ability to execute complicated moves in combat. Athletics is also used in dialogue to determine your ability to intimidate or physically overpower someone. That sounds like it could be more useful than it is. Just the line of to execute complicated moves in combat. Because spells are probably complicated, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm also just realizing I didn't pick a beard. Did I forget to pick a beard? No. Did I really? I really did. I'm very stupid. That's much more me. Okay. Okay, that's my bad. That's my bad. Maybe I want this a little darker. Yeah, probably like that. Okay, that's looking a lot better. I'm glad I noticed now. Okay, so seemingly we want lore, no matter what. Just a couple. I'm just wondering if this is one of those games where you need to pass certain checks to be able to cast your spell when someone's, you know, trying to physically hit you. Where athletics would be helpful. Parry, skill, defense against melee attacks and spells. Higher skill ranks will reduce damage from enemy attacks or may lead them to miss. Okay. Then subterfuge determines a character's ability to move unseen through the environment and to detect and manipulate hidden traps and devices, and to open locked chests and doors. It is also used in dialogue to determine your ability to deceive or trick. Well, maybe we should be good in dialogue, right? Because I assume, you know, our main character is going to be the main one doing all the talking, right? So, even though it's not, you know, the most important thing to the archetype that we picked, but, well, it's our main character. He's going to be doing stuff. And I'm sure stuff will happen to him. But I'm still going to put some points into this as well, I think. Just the doing complicated things in combat sounds like it would be useful. And then let's put dodge up to 30 as well. And then let's increase magic staff just a little bit. How do you want to continue? Conquest. Selecting the conquest option will allow you to play through Kairos' conquest of the tiers, choosing how your character was involved in the invasion. Well, it sounds like that's something that we want to do. This gives you the most control over the starting state of the game. Yes, let's do that.
All the world has fallen to Kairos, and now the Overlord's eye is on the tiers, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kairos' reign. 2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior. In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tiersmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tiers sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
During the conquest, you will decide your character's actions during Kairos' invasion of the tiers, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Okay. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factions of the tiers respond to you. Your decisions matter. Choose wisely. 428 TR? Okay. Year's 428, that's the important part. The Bastard City. The Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kairos' empire and the Tiers. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tiers, it was the center of all wealth. To a northerner, it is little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic statues or status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kairos' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kairos' armies. Taking the city would send a message to the rest of the tiers. Kairos' will is insurmountable. Select a token. Gates of Judgment or infiltrate the tiers. Okay, Gates of Judgment. The armies of Kairos took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the tiers. The 2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to the battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strengths. So when they were being introduced, I just thought it would be more fun to go with chaos. Because they're a chaotic mass of different people, which that just sounds more fun and interesting than like a heavy set military regime. So I'm for now feeling like I will pick that option. You caught the mercenary army unprepared for the mania and disorder of the Scarlet Chorus. Your forces overwhelmed the Tiers' defenses in a few shorter hours, hacking and burning their way into the continent. Any mercenaries who survived the battle found themselves initiated into Scarlet Chorus, tortured by ruthless interrogators, or made the sport of competition as the army marched ruthlessly forward. To judge the enemy, or feeding the host? You found a way to feed Kairos' army in the... Okay, let's go with that. Feeding the host. Against the most optimistic projections, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus made short work of the local defenses. They did so that the armies quickly outpaced their supply caravans. Troops were plentiful, but food was scarce. You only had time to execute one plan to secure provisions. So either you authorize disfavored troops to confiscate food and supplies from the traveling merchants. The Tiers had already spent ignorant centuries glutting themselves outside of Kairos' law. Or we authorized the Scarlet Chorus to send their horde out to pillage from farms and villages, spreading the infamy of Kairos' army prepared the Tiers for the reality of the impending conquest. In that case, I do feel more like, like stealing from merchants. That seems like the better thing to do. I mean, as good as it gets, really. But that's the difficult thing, right? That's kind of the choices we're supposed to be making. I'm just wondering... Oh, we can still also pick this as well. I kind of assumed we'd have to do all... there would just be 3 options, but considering there were 2 here and both of them got knocked over, so maybe we don't have to pick. So to judge the enemy, the soldiers of the Tiers fell by the hundreds, and Kairos' armies could not agree on how to handle what few survivors they dragged back to the camp. Befitting your role, commanders turned to you to decide the fate of those who occupied prison pens. There were only enough prisoners to support the plan of a single army. So the disfavored needed slaves to hold their gear, dig latrines, and keep their pallets warm at night. You consigned the survivors of battle to their subservient role among Graven's Ash's noble troops. Or you gave prisoners the chance to serve in Kairos' army or die. The Scarlet Chorus was in need of extra troops to fill up the vanguard, and your former enemies would occupy those slots nicely. Yeah, let's go with that, because I'm not sure about the food thing. And let's just pick a side, I guess. You armed cooperative ex-soldiers with scrap weapons and tossed them into the vanguard of the next Scarlet Chorus assault. Those who survived were welcome to take up the arms and armor of the fallen and eke out a desperate struggle to survive in Kairos' military. After their first victory, you rewarded the new recruits with the opportunity to execute their wounded or reluctant countrymen. The armies of Kairos amassed around the bastard city, the first bastion of the Tiers to fall. Both armies longed to storm the walled outpost. The Scarlet Chorus howled for plunder, and the disfavored formed an unbreakable shield wall. Your prowess on the field of battle had carried them this far, but there was one more step before total victory. Both of the armies had inspired schemes to take the bastard city. Which did you support? To take it, we joined the disfavored vanguard in a direct assault upon the city gates. No fortification would stand before the unstoppable legion. You joined the Scarlet Chorus in setting fire to the city and blocking the gates. The defenders would surrender or burn. Jesus. Just burn the entire city, don't lay siege to it. I mean, that's one way. You led a mixed band of disfavored and Scarlet Chorus scouts over the city to sabotage its defenses. That kinda sounds like a thing. So let's see what abilities this would give, because honestly that might be the most important thing. That seems a little messed up, but okay. So to sabotage the defenses, we would get the ability once per encounter to conceal shadows. 100% chance of graze deflection for 12 seconds. But then we have minus 100 accuracy. I assume that's like we have no accuracy whatsoever. Create a cloud of obscuring shadows and dust. For a short duration, enemies that use physical attacks against you have a significantly increased chance to miss. During this time, your attacks will also be less effective. That doesn't sound great. Searing Palm. Cooldown 24 seconds. Okay, damage 8 to 15. Fire versus magic. No idea what that means, but or if that's good or a lot. Foe target gets Mage Fire Affliction for 9 seconds. Gather heated energy into your hands and release it onto a foe. The target ignites in flames, burning over time. That sounds good as a mage. If someone gets close to you, set them on fire. That seems exactly what you want to do. Or for just us straight up assaulting the city, we would get once per encounter, minus 50% damage for 12 seconds, and plus 15% health every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. That sounds like more of a, tank and spank kind of ability, where you just, grab aggro from several enemies and heal through it. So I'm gonna burn down the city to get the ability to set others on fire. It was passing strange to barricade the very gates you sought to cross, but it all made sense when the fires began. The Scarlet Chorus sent a constant rain of flaming arrows over the walls of the bastard city, a plague that lasted through long days and tireless nights. By the end, the blaze was too much for the city defenders to contain. Citizens crowded at the gates, pleading to be freed from their smoldering city. You and your army were happy to oblige them. When the gates opened, they opened from inside. The bastard city settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displaying Kairos' banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The army is divided into 2 fronts and migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kairos' conquest, either as a judge and overseer of the settlement of Lethion's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. So were we more of a judge and overseer, or a war advisor? Let's be an overseer. So next year, year 2, yes. Lethion's Crossing. Years ago, Lethion the Bold founded a small merchant town at the intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and the mercenary company meant that the caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane, and the town thrived in modest insignificance. Lethion's Crossing drew Kairos' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Kairos' control, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing into a bloodless victory. Sorry, I need to pause for 1 second. Okay, right. Sorry for that interruption. It wasn't too long, so I'm not even sure I'll remember to edit it out. Taking crossing is the bloodless victory. Tunon dispatch you to travel alongside Kairos' forces and bring order to the region. The Cult of Sirin, or the Iron Must Flow? Well, I think Iron Must Flow seems more important to this region. Kairos' smith mages worked day and night to create weapons. No one faulted their dedication, yet production was low. The plans that came to light proved divisive to the disfavored in the Scarlet Chorus. On one hand, any additional manpower was needed for fighters, not forges. don't you always need both? I mean, if you have older men, but they just have, you know, just their fists, they're not going to stand a chance, right? On one hand, any additional manpower was needed for the fighters, not forges. On the other hand, the celebrated weaponry of Kairos' armies needed to be fiercely guarded. The Scarlet Chorus took refugees from the recent influx and forced them to serve in Kairos' military. You repurposed these individuals to haul wagons of iron for the smith mages. This proved an inconvenience to the Scarlet Chorus, who relied on the force of numbers to be effective in the field. Or, we conscripted help from the local tribe of beastmen. Interesting. Their strength would more than offset their disobedience. The disfavored protested that savages have access to the secrets of iron, but their voices were few compared to the support of the Scarlet Chorus. I'm not... You know, you need more information to say anything about that, I think. So, maybe we pick this option. Right? I think this is better. So we just take some people away. I think that's the best way. The population of Lethian's Crossing had swelled from the emptying of lands destroyed by Kairos' armies. Although the Scarlet Chorus fought to keep the refugees under control, the need for production could not wait. The new recruits were reassigned to haul iron from the treacherous mine shafts, labor more befitting slaves than Kairos' artisans. Though the disfavored grew stronger with the advantage of more weapons, the Scarlet Chorus diminished as their ranks found themselves with one less opportunity for growth. A Guardian's Due. Kairos' armies used Lethian's Crossing as a reprieve from the war. The city grew more crowded as a mercenary army hired by the Archon of Secrets occupied the barracks, where they drained resources and escalated tensions. The disfavored wanted nothing to do with the sellswords, but the Scarlet Chorus sought to invite them into the fold. You let the Scarlet Chorus and the mercenaries engage in combat games and challenges, and allowed laws against revelry and merriment to go unenforced. Those who won the contest took a greater share of provisions, and sellswords of merit were invited to join Kairos' army. Or, the disfavored demanded that the mercenaries be kept from Kairos' armies. The righteous occupiers would not deign to share provisions, or, I assume this is supposed to be an R, it's kind of cut off, or supplies with degenerated sellswords. He built a separate barracks and mess hall in order to keep the sellswords out of the army's way, and enacted strict laws against disorderly conduct. Not sure. I mean, it seems like this is honestly better, but going with the more random, chaotic approach might be more fun. Pick of the Armory. It's interesting that, yeah, this is one of the ones which lets you pick no side. Since you aided the production of weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied for additional arms. They offered all manner of bribes to the next in line for a fitting session with the Masters of the Forge. How did you sate the lust for iron? You let the disfavored have the iron, keeping the best tools in the hands of the elite. The Scarlet Chorus saw the slight as an obvious display of preferential treatment. Or we gave it to the Scarlet Chorus commanders, knowing they pay very well for any killing tool. Weaponry of such acclaim was typically reserved for the highest disfavored officers, but you were open to changing traditions under the circumstances. Okay, or just neutral. You allowed no changes to the orderly dispensation of iron and punished those who tried to bribe you twice. Yeah, that seems like a good corrupt line right there. Let's just go with the Scarlet Chorus. Let them have their fun. Let's screw the, big military. If nothing else, the Scarlet Chorus were were wont to pay for the services rendered, as a reward for the arming a notorious gang boss with the finest weapons. Horde soldiers around the camp found excuses to palm you rings or other valuables throughout the Apex campaign. You could hardly cross from one end of the camp to the other without your belt string jingling a personal anthem of wealth. The disfavored watched the chorus lieutenants parade about with bravado, themselves disgusted by the display. Who controlled the crossing? Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the Voices of Narat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kairos' more responsible servants. So what's a forge-bound? The forge-bound are mage smiths sworn to Kairos' service, though their operations in the tiers are overseen by Tunon and his court of fate-binders. Each forge-bound uses magic as a tool to augment their personal craft. Most commonly smelting and metalworking, but carpenters, tailors, and tanners are found in the ranks. Okay, so they are artisans who use magic to make better things. Okay. Only a token garrison could be left behind while armies returned to the front, as the disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus showed increasing tension and hostility towards each other. Tunon decreed it best that only one force controlled the crossing. Well, let's just... Scarlet Chorus, right? Scarlet Chorus has flooded Lathian's crossing with over-eager and undisciplined recruits. In the first few days of occupation, settlers suffered under rampant theft, murder, rape, and arson. By the following week, the hordemen who sowed chaos for personal gain were dead, strung up by the more disciplined half that took up the reins as the self-appointed bosses of Lathian's crossing. The Forgebound continued to mint iron weapons and armor, which Kairos' merchant carted to the disfavored garrisons somewhere in the tiers. Shipments were light or sometimes absent. The Scarlet Chorus quartermasters claimed ignorance on the matter. Oh boy, there's a lot of this, isn't there? Okay, yeah, we're only on this step. Jesus, this is a long character creation. It's just going to be 1 hour. With the mercenaries expelled and Lathian's crossing under the new leadership, Kairos' forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement and guaranteeing a productive flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of Azure, Stalwart, or the Vellum Citadel. So the Vellum Citadel was a library fortress. I was thinking, considering the word Vellum, the largest archive in the written world in the tiers. The School of Ink and Quill protected and maintained the archive of ancient lore for centuries, standing apart from the political upheavals of the younger realms as an enduring pillar of knowledge and culture. Where Azure is... Kairos dispatched the Archon of Stone to subjugate the nation of Azure, which is up here. Or Stalwart, with its easily defensible position and rich military tradition, the realm of Stalwart was the most formidable realm in the tiers. I'm more interested in Vellum, honestly. Kairos' conquering gaze fell upon the Vellum Citadel, its treasures, its knowledge, its secrets. The Vellum Citadel was an archive and library of massive scale. Its inhabitants were known as the School of Ink and Quill, a circle of mages that, centuries ago, carved out their own mountainous refuge on lands unsettled by the other major realms. Legend said that the Citadel housed a treasure trove of arcane knowledge. The overlords of spies infiltrated the school and confirmed as much. The time was ripe to send a detachment to the Great Library Fortress and force the scholars to yield to Kairos. Well, then maybe we should not burn it down like we do to other places, should we? Siren's song ensnared some stealthy sages. A peaceful surrender turned bloody. A detachment of Kairos' army marched on the Vellum citadel, expecting an orderly surrender. As they neared the main gate, a blast of arcane energy struck the commander's dead. Suddenly, the highest-ranking officer alive, Kairos' forces looked to you for the next steps. The call weighed on your mind, as it had an immediate influence on soldier losses. So we can tell the expendable Scarlet Chorus to attack, commanding the disorderly mob forward to give the elite disfavored a chance to withdraw. Though a costly maneuver in terms of life lost, this assured the survival of the most capable and effective soldiers. Or we order the disfavored to advance their shield wall, knowing that a handful of Kairos' elite soldiers could hold off the attacks until the Scarlet Chorus retreated. You knew the disfavored would despise you for any losses at the Scarlet Chorus' expense, but that was a small price to pay for saving lives. I think we can always just send in the masses of Scarlet Chorus. As long as they don't burn the place down. Ever itching for a fight, the howling mob still recognized your maneuver, the sacrificial move that it was. Your maneuver for the sacrificial move that it was, is what it should say. Those from the Scarlet Chorus who ran headlong into the battle made promises of a reckoning upon their return. Thankfully for you, hardly any of them limped back in one piece. Those few who survived made fevered whisperings their grievances, naming you as a villain to the Scarlet Chorus. Well, maybe they should have just done better. Lost to the mountains. The disfavored learned of a hidden enemy enclave and sent scouts to locate it. They never returned from their mission. The remaining disfavored soldiers demanded that you send the Scarlet Chorus to retrieve the scouts. But the Scarlet Chorus flatly refused to fall into the same trap. They recommended that the scouts be treated as wartime casualties. You consigned the disfavored scouts to their fate. If the elite of Kairos' army could not return on their own, then there were no sense in wasting the lives of the Scarlet Chorus to find them. Well, it depends on what happened. I mean, if it's really a bad trap, you're sending just more men to die, but if these men are good, then more can return. So let's send more. Though the Scarlet Chorus were bitter at having their time wasted in search of lost soldiers, grandstanding before their rivals in the disfavored was an opportunity too delicious to ignore. Tracking the Legion yielded them the site of the ambush, where spell-slinging mages had the last of the disfavored scouts pinned down. After launching a successful counterattack, the chorus escorted the shaken and humiliated disfavored scouts back to camp. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The Edict of Fire. Oh man, there's a lot of reading here. Crestfallen by the preferential treatment you showed the disfavored, the Scarlet Chorus retreated deeper into the mountains, leaving your attachment with a skeleton crew. I don't... just because I sent them at the initial wave? Well, okay. It didn't sound to me like it was going to be that much of a, horrible fight, but okay. Tunon sent word that Kairos' patient had run thin. The Overlord would cast an Edict of Fire on the enemy. So what's an Edict? Kairos' most powerful magic is that of the Edict. Commandments cast upon whole regions that can control and destroy man and nature alike. Once cast, an edict can rain fire, wither crops, demoralize cities, usher in endless night, or do whatever it is that Kairos envisioned. No known force, magic or mundane, can stop an edict. Though each edict is often worded to include some conditions or contingency that will see its end. Some edicts have been short-lived, delivering days of wanton catastrophe. Just as many have lingered for centuries. Okay. The parchment arrived in a slender case of engraved iron. Written on it, the word of a spell powerful enough to destroy the Vellum Citadel. You had the choice of when to read the edict. Reading it at sunrise would offer your enemies no warning of the devastation to come. You could also wait until sunset, giving them ample time to flee or make amends. Claiming they still had spies within the Citadel, the Scarlet Chorus urged you to warn the mages of the Overlord's edict. Yeah, that's what I would do. Granting their request, you met with the enemy under a blue flag of peace and warned them of their doom, giving the Chorus spies and the enemy a chance to run. Or giving no quarter. No, I want to give quarter. Let them know. Let them know that we're not all bad. You confronted the mages with a warning and hoped the message was received. The hour before sunset, numerous figures were spotted fleeing the Citadel. As the sun dipped under the horizon, you read the words of the edict. The earth shook and red-orange light glowed in the foundation of the sprawling Citadel. Bubbling up from under the library, a torrent of lava heaved with explosive force, gushing from the windows and between loose bricks, melting windows trenched in surrounding land. Days later, the flames still raged on, the conflagration continually fed and renewed by the power of the edict. I think that's the good decision there. The armies of Kairos left the devastation of the Vellum Citadel in silence. From that day forward, the Tears came to know the once noble citadel as the Burning Library. This was an undisputed loss of resources, knowledge, culture, and life. But a message had been sent. The Overlord will not tolerate defiance. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. You were one of the last to depart from the mountains, and as you journeyed off, you spotted a few campfires in the mountains. They were mere specks, dwarfed by the inferno, the last gasp of survivors, or perhaps looters from Kairos' armies, bored and daring enough to pick through the ashes. Conquest complete. You have reached the end of Kairos' conquest. Do you want to continue or erase your progress? No, let's continue. Let's not do all of that again. It is what it is. Characters become wounded when knocked out, okay?
The year is 431, and Kairos' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kairos lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands. But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kairos have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance, but months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kairos has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kairos backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons. As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kairos' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kairos' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.
Now that's quite a setup, isn't it? Fatebinder Eterna, I presume. We've been expecting you. So I assume I click on you? Yeah. Aurora. Kairos the Overlord be praised. When I heard the avalanche, I feared the valley was sealed with you on the other side. The disfavored warrior claps her gauntlet to her breastplate, traditional salute of her legion. We were told a Fatebinder was coming, and though our commanders will not say why, it seems obvious. Graven Ash and the voices of Nerat can agree on nothing, least of all battle plans to wipe out the Oathbreakers. I trust you bring orders from Tunon that will break this deadlock. Okay. So, looking at this, clearly we have one option granted to us by our lore skill, which is what, 40, I think? So this would have been a very simple one. Ah, interesting. So, can you hear that hum in the air, that glow around the rocks? The avalanche is Kairos' magic. The Overlord has sealed the valley. So we gain more lore skill. Okay. Your senses see more than mine, good Fatebinder. I do not pretend to know much about such things, but if that was Kairos' magic and you're here on important business, well, you don't have to be the Archon of Secrets to guess that you're here to proclaim an edict. What does Kairos have in store for the enemy? 10 years of festering plague? An edict of twisted bones? Let's see. Let's just glare silently. A nervous smile creeps over her as she waits for a response that doesn't arrive. I'm asking questions beyond my station. She dips low, trembling as she bows. Forgiveness, please. Well, you've traveled a long way. I won't keep you further. I'm sure the Archons will want to hear from you at... Her voice falls silent, her attention snapping eastward with alarm. Did you hear that? More runners, third time this week. The Oathbreakers keep trying to send messengers through the mountains to gather help from outside the valley. She points over to the collapsed path by which you arrived, but they're a bit too late for that now. Come, let's show these Oathbreakers a good fight. Okay, space is pause. It seems to be an actual pause. Okay, so right click is some sort of move, I think. Okay, so we have health. Okay, let's just go over the actual big help tutorial right in screen. Conversations involve you, another character, and sometimes additional parties, like bystanders or companions may interject. The choices you make change how the story develops and will build a reputation for your character over time. People in the world will learn of your reputations, good and bad, and respond accordingly. So yeah, okay, that's what it would be like. Your character's attributes, skills, history, and gender, as well as decisions you made in the conquest, may all open up options for you in dialogue. These options are not necessarily superior to the other responses, but give you a wider variety of choices to select from. The manner in which someone responds to your choices depend on their individual personality and attitude. Each character who speaks to you will display a banner beneath their portrait. The banner indicates the faction of the character is allied with. The tooltip on these banners will provide details about how that faction feels about you. Should have looked at that. Okay. You will often see names. Yeah, then you can highlight. Okay, that's all well and good. Okay, so kind of just drops you right in. First of all, it's a very cool statue. Can't look at it right now, seemingly, but okay. So we have a guy doing cleaving strike on her, seemingly. So I'm noticing our icons. We have a thrust, a shock, range 1 meter, a charged fist, range 2 meters, frozen grasp, and searing palm. Searing palm, or charged fist actually seems to do a lot of damage. So does searing palm. Okay, then let's use that. Unpause. Okay, so now we're in combat. Tyranny uses a possible real-time combat system. Because you will often manage more than one character at a time, it's a good idea to pause the game, issue orders, and resume real-time combat to see the orders play out. The options menu also contains many choices for automatic pausing when certain conditions are met. Start of combat, like for example start of combat, yeah, okay. Your character can always perform basic attacks using their equipped weapon or their fists if fighting unarmed. Characters also have special abilities and spells they can use in combat. When a character is selected, their ability bar displays their hotkeyed abilities. Yeah, that seems about right. And a potion, which we apparently have. As new abilities and spells are gained, they're automatically added to the ability bar. Okay. All of your character's abilities and spells can be accessed by selecting the category icon at the bottom of the selected frame. Talents? Spells. Yeah, okay, we don't have that many spells. Charge Fist, which we use, Frozen Grasp, and then Searing Palm. Yeah, okay. Oh, they actually show it through talents, which is Thrust, which actually is a very high damage, considering it's shock damage. Should probably use that next then. Abilities are grouped into talents, spells, and combo abilities. Artifact abilities, reputation abilities, and stances. Okay, yeah, that's a lot. Category icons for weapon sets and quick items follow. To use an ability, I think this seems kind of self-explanatory, but okay. Left click on the ability icon or press the hotkey corresponding to its location. Your cursor will change to indicate whether your mouse is over a valid. I want to also drag this to the middle. I feel like I'm awkwardly looking at the very side of the screen. If the cursor has a red X in the corner, you are not over a valid target. If the cursor has a pair of feet in the corner, you will need to move closer. Okay, good to know. For abilities that target party members, like healing spells, buffs, you can click on the party portrait to target the ability on that party member. Oh, that's good to know. All characters in the game, friend or foe, have 5 primary defenses against attacks: parry, dodge, endurance, will, and magic. These defenses are based on the character's attributes, equipped items, and other effects. The character's accuracy is based on their skill with the type of weapon that they are wielding. Accuracy is compared to the appropriate defenses when an attack is made to determine how likely that is that the attack will hit. There are 4 possible results: hit, critical hit, graze, and miss. A critical hit increases damage, graze reduces it. Okay, that makes sense. With each attack, you gain experience in the weapon skills used to make the attack. Even a miss will grant some experience. So then it kind of sounds like there is some merit to not just using spells, but actually hit with the weapon. Wow, okay, that's powerful.
Yes. On it.
So there's like a countdown bar. Attack, moving to melee. But there's like a red dot here. I wonder if he's like nearly dead. Is that what that means? Yeah, near health, near death. Okay, excellent. Let's see if we can put him on fire. We could. Level up. Fatebinder. Hey, don't just run off. Oh, all of the prompts for everything about moving and everything. Jesus. Okay. There are 6 categories of talent available to your character: leadership, defense, power, agility, range, and magic. With each level, you gain 1 point to purchase a talent from any of these categories. Within a talent tree, each tier of talents unlocks based on how many talent points you have spent within that tree. To learn a talent, select the icon and select save. Okay? Each companion has their own talent trees with unique abilities. Okay, that sounds cool. It's also like telling you about companions, which you currently don't have yet, but okay. Also, she's injured. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're fine. These abilities unlock in the same manner as your character's talents. As you spend points within a companion talent tree, further tiers of talents become available. Okay. The skill increased. One of your skills has gone up in rank. Did it? Did it really? Which one? Can I see that? Weapon sets. How do I get there? Press C to open character sheet and see experience. Okay. Magic staff still 33. Okay, so something went up somewhere. I assume it's like control, fire, or lightning, probably. So what else is here? Movement. Okay, you can pause at any time. Yes. T for talent sheet, J for quest journal, which are also at the top. Okay. Spell creation. We probably should get to this later. It's way too much for like the first screen of the game. Spells are created using 2 or more sigils. The core sigils determine the type of magic, such as fire, frost, or illusion. The expression sigil determines how that core shapes itself into the world, such as a ball of fire or frost enchanting a weapon. There are several categories of sigils that can accent a spell, granting it greater range, accuracy, or providing bonus secondary effects. That sounds really cool. Expression would be focused intent. So what, you just create a much more powerful searing palm? Is that? But no accents, okay. Sure. Recovery 1.4 seconds. Okay, that seems fast, but... to begin creating a spell, select the core sigil for the type of magic, followed by the expression signal to the expressions. I keep saying signal. I'm real sorry for that. It's sigil. To determine what form the spell takes. For example, if you wanted to create a fireball spell, you would select the sigil flame as the core, followed by the sigil of directed force to determine its shape. Spells have default names based on the selected core and expression. You can rename your spells using the spells interface. Each sigil requires a certain amount of lore skill to learn and control. So you must have the lore skill of at least equal to the spell's total difficulty in order to cast the spell. That seems okay. Once you have created a spell, use the assign button to add that spell to one of your character's party members. Okay. If you want to modify the spell later after you've discovered more sigils, select the spell from the party member you wish to modify. The interface will populate the spell's information, allowing you to modify it and save your changes. Seems like a good system, honestly. You can customize your spells by selecting different icons. If you created multiple spells using the same core and expression, but with different accents, these icons can help you differentiate your spells. Again, good, simple, straightforward. Each spell has a default name, but you can change it. Yeah, okay. Some accent sigils allow you to modify the area of effect or range of your spells. When you use these sigils, the casting UI will display the increased range as a second, more transparent area beyond the base range of the spell. Okay, seems cool. What else is here? Lore and reactivity. Okay, so that's just saying that. So when a tooltip is green, it means it comes from lore skill. Okay. That's cool. That's good to know.
Right.
Wait, shouldn't we loot? Potion of protection and a whetstone. Let's take everything, yeah. We should be vigilant and deal with the remaining Oathbreakers in the pass. Vendrian Guard, yeah. Okay. I've been traveling for days. How much longer until I reach the Archons? I guess carry on. The avalanche has us blocked. Think you could fit through the rubble? Okay, let's pause. Well, real-time combat is happening. So the boulder. Rockslide blocks the path ahead. You can squeeze through a narrow gap between the stones, or you can attempt to push. No, we don't have 30 athletics. So squeeze through.
Trouble is afoot. Can't do it.
What do you mean I can't do that? I can totally set you on fire. So parry +2. Control fire, okay. Then do I want to do frozen grasp to see how the freeze thing works? They're near death, so I guess just auto attack should be okay. Cool.
I got it.
Let's just use our abilities where we can. Okay. Set them on fire next time around. He's barely injured.
I've had far worse.
There doesn't seem to be any sort of like magic. You know, like MP, which restricts your casts or something. So that seems very good. Sun Soldier's Javelin. One-handed and thrown. Okay, well for now I guess we'll take it. I guess we needed to push this on so we would have had our help at this fight, I guess. Don't bother with me. Go down to the pass. Drastus. You're wounded. It is not trivial. Okay, so can we help? He laughs and clenched teeth. This? 'Tis but a scratch. I've seen twice as worse 10 times over. If you'll let me help. I said I'm fine. The soldier moans and shakes his head. Raven Ash protects. You go on and help the others. Is capable. So Graven Ash, Archon of Zor, is capable of shielding his soldiers from injury and fatigue. His protective influence exerts itself even from far away as he sleeps. If he sleeps, rumors disagree. Few understand how this arcane power works, but all who have faced the disavowed in battle will attest that Ash's soldiers can survive serious harm and shrug off the fatigue of starvation. Fatigue of starvation or long marches in heavy armor. When the disfavored are wounded, Ash's Aegis, as some refer to the Archon's unique power, appears to help the disfavored swiftly recuperate and return to the battle. Okay, then that's fine. So tab highlights some things. Interactables in the environment. Several skulls, bleached by the sun and picked clean by carrion birds, are spiked on a something which went by too fast. Are spiked on a roughly hewn post. It is the only heraldry the Scarlet Chorus needs. Okay. Okay, so Sun Soldier, these... And there's someone named Verse. And they seem to be fighting.
Try and catch me, worm.
So she is part of the Scarlet Chorus, yeah. A young Scarlet Fury. They are the elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus, distinguished by their graceful attacks and murderous persistence. Better armed and trained than most Scarlet conscripts, the Furies are found among the vanguard of the battle. They are brutal displays of skill, inspiring bloodlust in the masses and fear in the enemy. A young Scarlet Fury weaves around the Vendrian Guard attackers, avoiding their weapons with fluid grace. She nods to acknowledge you. A breathless enemy soldier passes a glance to our countryman. This one's crazy. Too much lead in our water. We should cut our losses and turn back.
Ha! Fatefinder. You're here at last. Here to join me in putting these cowards out of their misery.
Sure, let's fight first. I mean, clearly we're gonna need to help out, right? For the Realm of Apex, charge. The Vendrian Guard level their weapons in advance.
Come at me, brave mate.
Oh, wait. Okay, so now I need to select myself. And now I have a Blood Soaks Stone. So that's apparently a unique ability that we get together with Verse. Coordinate with Verse to knock your target prone, then follow up with a strong bleeding attack. Okay, that might be useful. You can get really close. You can really zoom in like this, otherwise. Oh, this is real slow to move the camera. Need to change that. So for now, let's just set you on fire. And what can she do? She can Burning Iron or Skewer. So a slash and then a pierce attack. Because she has dual wielding, I see, yes. Okay, so Burning Iron would be piercing and then fire damage. Okay. I guess let's focus fire this person down first.
Will do.
Okay, then I guess just I'm just seeing how. Okay, so the F keys. If I press F2 now, I select Verse. F1, I select my main character. Okay, good to know. So he's near death. So let's auto attack finish. Excellent.
Will do.
So now let's use this 3 ability. It will use both of them, as you can see.
Let's do it, you and me.
Okay, that seemed effective. It seemed like 34 damage. That seems like a lot. Let's use Thrust. And let's assume we attack from behind anyway.
I'll spill your guts.
Welcome to Ruin.
Phew. I can tell you didn't spend the conquest in a diplomat's tent. I'm Verse, by the way. But there are more important things to take care of than introductions. Those Vendrian Guard we killed didn't come alone.
She gestures to the skirmish, unfolding in the pass below, shaking her head. So we can join the battle. So we can ask why they're fighting. You fight like a storm. What's your role? First explain what you're doing
The
here.
voices of Narat told me to intercept you at Edgering Ruins before you busied yourself solving all of the camp's problems. Guess I was too late.
Okay, so we have a loyalty and a fear rating apparently.
You're due for a meeting with the Archons, but we should handle the small matter of this ambush first.
Okay, I guess.
Eager. I like that. Before we go, you might search among the remains of our fallen comrades. Wherever they're bound, I doubt they'll miss their boots, much less any rings or any useful iron they might be clutching.
So, rings were first introduced by Kairos in the early years of the Northern Conquest. The currency of the divided realms was of questionable value and easily counterfeit, and rings offered the promise of a shared economy simple enough for anyone to understand. Today, they're the standardized currency across all of the known lands of Terratus. Their commonality and ease of transportation quickly made rings the preferred unit of trade, even in realms where Kairos' peace is not observed. I see your point. Nice and practical, I think.
No reason to pity the fallen. Before long, we might wish we'd joined them here. But at least we'll enjoy heavy pockets and warm toes. For the voices of Nerat!
Okay, so quite a bit of loot to be had. But I think I'm just gonna save it here, and then next time we will go through the inventory, and then we go through, you know, probably equipping some of this gear, which is, I think, what it's trying to teach you at this point. And then we continue with what probably is still tutorialization. Maybe this is a bad moment because it'll just do stuff afterwards, but this is a long time already after all of the character creation. It's a lot of reading too. But so far, really liking the setup for this game. And again, the statues, just very, very cool. So messed up. So messed up. But the entire setting of this game just seems very interesting, let's say. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of treachery and interesting findings and characters that we'll meet. And I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Let me know what you guys think. If maybe I need to make the UI bigger, which I probably do. But let's see. Maybe it's still okay, but probably I'll try to make the UI a bit bigger. That's probably going to be better for everyone. But let me know if anything you want me to change with the sound or with the UI or anything like that. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. If you did, please press the like button and share the video if you feel like that at all. It helps other people find the videos. It helps me a lot. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that. See you guys next time.